They say gold can buy anything. But what happens when someone has too much of it? I want to tell you about Mansa Musa, the richest man who ever lived. A man so wealthy that when he traveled, entire cities collapsed under the weight of his generosity. A king whose name spread across the world, not because of war or conquest, but because he had more gold than anyone had ever seen. But not all riches bring fortune, and not all kings leave their kingdoms the way they found them. This is the story of how one man's wealth changed the world. Sometimes for the better, sometimes not. Mansa Musa ruled Mali, an empire in West Africa, where gold was as common as dust. It was everywhere, deep in the rivers, hidden beneath the ground, carried by traders across the Sahara. And Mansa Musa, he controlled it all. One day, he decided to go on a journey, a Hajj to Mecca, the holy city. But Mansa Musa didn't travel like an ordinary man. He took with him 60,000 people, not just soldiers but servants, scholars and traders. Every one of them wore the finest silks. Every camel, thousands of them, carried gold. Each slave carried a golden staff taller than a man's arm. And then there was Mansa Musa himself, dressed in robes woven with gold thread, riding a horse draped in silk. He looked more like a god than a man. People who saw him didn't just see a king. They saw the living symbol of wealth itself. Then he arrived in Cairo, and that's when things got out of control. Mansa Musa wasn't a cruel ruler. If anything, he was too kind. When he saw beggars, he gave them gold. When he bought food, he paid 10, 20 times the price. He gave away so much gold that people started throwing celebrations in his honor. At first, it was a miracle. The poor had money. The merchants had customers. The streets were alive with gold. But then, something strange happened. Gold lost its value. Prices skyrocketed. A loaf of bread that once cost a single coin now cost 50. Merchants who once thrived suddenly had too much gold, but nothing to buy. Cairo, one of the greatest cities in the world, had been turned upside down. And the worst part? Mansa Musa had no idea what he had done. By the time Mansa Musa reached Mecca, stories of his journey had already spread. In Europe, map makers drew his face on their maps, marking Mali as the land of gold. Traders from the Middle East, desperate for a taste of his riches, began moving towards his empire. But when Mansa Musa returned through Cairo, he saw what had happened. People were struggling. The economy had collapsed. The very gold he had given away so freely was now ruining lives. So he did something no one expected. He tried to fix it. He bought back as much gold as he could, even at insanely high interest rates. He flooded the markets with silver to balance things out. But it was too late. Cairo would never be the same again. Mansa Musa returned to Mali and used his fortune to build cities, libraries, and mosques. He turned Timbuktu into a center of knowledge. Scholars from around the world came to study in his empire. His wealth wasn't just about gold anymore. It was about power, influence, and knowledge. But the world never forgot his journey. His legend spread far beyond Africa. Europeans, hearing of a king with unimaginable riches, became obsessed with finding Mali. His gold changed trade routes, it shaped economies, and in some ways it even helped inspire the later age of exploration, as European explorers searched for their own land of gold. Mansa Musa had so much wealth that he could change history without lifting a sword. But his story is also a warning, because sometimes having too much of something can be just as dangerous as having too little.